Hey everybody, what's going on? Hexlex here, got another Master Duel video for you, yet another Spright deck profile because this deck just has so many variants. We are on the fourth one now. This is Live Twin Spright. So, what sets this apart from other Spright decks? Well, of course, obviously we are playing the Live Twin package here, which does slot very naturally into the deck. Of course, the Live Twin monsters themselves are level 2, and then their extra deck monsters are Link 2. So, naturally, monster is level 2 Spright. Allow us to introduce ourselves. So yeah, they are going to slot very naturally together. But what this variant can do that other variants can't in particular is a good deal of extra deck locking. There's actually two different ways you can do it in this deck. You can do it with either Artifact Schythe or Knightmare Corruptor Iblee. So the idea is that with Scythe, we're setting that up with our Dagda here, and then we can use the Lil-la in order to pop the Artifact Schythe. We've actually done this before in Live Twin, even on the channel. I think actually the first time I played Live Twin, one of the first times I played it, I was doing some Artifact Schythe plays with this deck. So this actually manages to do it more easily than the quote-unquote pure Live Twin deck can. But again, we can also have the ability to use Knightmare Corruptor Iblee as another form of extra deck lock. So if the opponent is still going to be able to link summon under Iblee, but that's all they're going to be able to do. This can be relatively easily searched out with the Gigatic Spright as well. So yeah, that is again the main bulk of what Live Twin Spright does differently as opposed to other Spright variants. This is the appeal, rather, is the extra deck locking with these two cards here. The other kind of appeal of Live Twin Spright, which is also an appeal of the pure variant as well, is that you get to play a lot of disruption and hand traps and that kind of stuff in this deck. So we're rocking the 3 triple tactics talents. The more I play in this format, the more I fall in love with this card. I think especially if you're playing Spright, but really in just about any deck, this card is so good this format. If you have not crafted any copies yet and you have any ultra rare dust left after getting the Spright or whatever decks you were interested in the new selection pack, I highly recommend picking up some triple tactics talents, as moving forward it's going to be a very good card. It honestly is already a good card even before this. Like, it was definitely playable before, but now that we have Spright Elf, and that's going to be activating on like half of your turns total played in Master Duel moving forward. Yeah, now that we have this card playing on our turn, this triple tactics talent becomes much more consistent. And honestly, a lot of the reason that I say it's especially good in Spright is because of the opposing Spright Elves. Like, using talents to steal an opponent's Spright Elf and then just making like bonkers banana plays is a really good feeling. But that's not the only application of talent, of course. You can also, if you get disrupted on turn 1, you can activate this and then look at your opponent's hand and make sure that they're not going to have live plays. It's really good. It's funny, I most often see people drawing 2 cards, but this is actually probably the weakest function of this card. Going on turn 1, going first, looking at your opponent's hand and ripping a card is really good. That can also be helpful sometimes, even if you're going second and you need to play, your hand is vulnerable to disruption. You can use this effect to like rip out that last bit of disruption for your opponent's hand. But going second, you can also just straight up just take control of one of their cards. Sometimes you do need extra gas, and sometimes you do actually just need to draw 2 cards. But again, I think draw 2 cards is actually the weakest mode of triple tactics talent, even though it's the one I tend to see used most often. As far as like making a combo guide for this particular deck, I think I might just link some resource materials in the description below. If I haven't, feel free to yell at me until I do, and I will make sure to do that. There's a couple of different combo lines, but there's only like really 2 or 3. There's like the Scythe line and the Iblee line, and making a whole video just to explain 2 combo lines just kind of seems like a waste to me. So again, I'll just link some resources below that'll let you know how those combo lines work. As far as like this Live Twin ratios, you might think just like regular Live Twin that you'd want like 3 of each Lil-la and Ki-Sikil and Secret Password and Sunny Snitch, but 3 of each of all of those is definitely overload for this build. We definitely want 3 Lil-la because we like Lil-la to get the Ki-Sikil Frost. We're not even playing Lil-la Treat here because we just don't need it. I'm playing 2 Ki-Sikils. You can arguably get away with only 1, but I'm playing an extra one just to have another extra like just, you know, live body, like basically another live level 2 body. But again, you can definitely get away with only one. And then, yeah, we really only need 1 secret password and 2 Sunny Snitch because our deck is already pretty consistent, and this isn't really like pure Live Twin where we're going all in on the Live Twin package. We, of course, have the Spright engine here as well. As far as the Spright engine goes, it's just the usual suspects here. We've got 3 Blue, 3 Jet, 1 of each Red and Carrot. We've got the 2 Starters, the 1 Smashers, and then the extra deck we've got the 2 Gigatic Spright as well as the 2 Spright Elf. As far as the extra deck, there's actually a couple of different things that you'll play depending on what, you know, main deck cards that you're playing. Because you can, I mean, you can play Live Twin without Scythe or Iblee, but you can do one, you could do neither, you could do both. There's kind of no reason not to do both, in my opinion, unless that just, you know, makes it inconsistent in a way I'm not familiar with. To be fair, this is the Spright variant that so far I am the least familiar with. This is the one that I've played the least, but I think this is honestly one of the, in my opinion, here's how the different Spright decks rank up with each other. I think that Pure and Runic are like pretty much the same power level. A lot of people say Runic is the better one, but I really think, like, if it is, it's like barely. It's like a hairline margin. Pure, they're like pretty much the same. It's close enough. Live Twin Spright, I think, is the next most powerful one, and I don't think it's too far behind Pure or Runic at all. I think it's, again, like, maybe a little bit more than a hairline, maybe like an inch, but like just a little bit less powerful than the other two. Tri-brigade Spright, mostly because we don't have Spright Sprined or Pit Knight Airly. I think that's the one that's like significantly weaker than all the rest, but I don't think Live Twin Spright is a bad way to go at all. Mostly, again, because of the extra deck locking. That is the large part of the appeal of, I think, why you'd want to play this variant. Unless you just like the aesthetic of Live Twins, which I don't blame you for at all. They're fantastic, and I love them, but yeah, power level wise anyway, you'd want to go to this variant for locking your opponent out of plays. Alright, I think that's about everything I wanted to cover with the extra. Oh no, I was going to save the extra, right? I was going to talk about some specific cards. Of course, you only play Dagda if you're playing, sorry, not Iblee, Scythe. Then you only play Dagda. Beat Cop is here because we're playing Iblee. And the reason you would want to play Beat Cop is you can actually put a patrol counter on the Iblee, and then your opponent, because what your opponent could, in theory, do is use their Iblee, or use your Iblee, attack it into one of your monsters, and then it's gone, and then main phase 2 they can make plays. But if you use Beat Cop and put a patrol counter on the Iblee, then if they try to do that, if they try to attack Iblee into one of your monsters, you can just remove the Beat Cop's counter instead, and then your opponent still is not going to be able to summon. They'll still be under the Iblee lock because Iblee will still be in play. So even if you play Iblee, you don't even like necessarily need a Beat Cop, but it is an option. So I figured I'd include it in here. I think that's going to about do it for talking about the build. So as always, I'm going to break it down card by card, and then we'll take a look at some games. So we're playing 3 Maxx, 1 Knightmare Corruptor Iblee, 2 Live Twin Ki-Sikil, 3 Live Twin Lil-la, 1 Live Twin Ki-Sikil Frost, 3 Spright Blue, 3 Spright Jet, 1 Spright Red, 1 Spright Carrot, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 Ghost Belle and Haunted Mansion, 1 Artifact Schythe, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 3 Triple Tactics Talent, 1 Secret Password, 2 Live Twins Sunny's Snitch, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 2 Spright Starter, 1 Spright Smashers, and then 3 Infinite Impermanence. Let's go round out the main deck. For the extra deck, we're playing 1 Onibimaru Soulsweeper, 2 Gigatic Spright, 1 Divine Arsenal, AA-ZEUS Sky Thunder, 1 Knightmare Phoenix, 1 Beat Cop from the Underworld, 1 Artifact Dagda, 2 Evil Twin Ki-Sikil, 2 Evil Twin Lil-la, 2 Spright Elf, 1 Knightmare Unicorn, and then finally 1 Evil Twins Trouble Sunny. So that's going to round out the list, and now let's take a look at those games. Okay, for our first duel, let's actually take a look at the mirror match. It's actually a straight up mirror match. My opponent is also on Live Twin Spright. Looks like I'm going to be taking the first turn here, and we've got a fairly good opening hand. I mean, it's more than fairly good. We have the Live Twin Lil-la as well as the Spright Starter, so we definitely have multiple plays here, and I love opening with Triple Tactics Talent. This card is incredible, and I love to see it literally every single time. So I'm going to start by activating the Spright Starter. Opponent's going to Ash Blossom. That will make our Triple Tactics Talent live. So I'm honestly not even like super upset that this got negated. I'm going to activate the talent. I think I actually drew 2 here. Yeah, I drew 2. This was a misplay. I really should have ripped a card out of my opponent's hand. Drawing 2 to try to get a Spright monster was very greedy. Denying them a card from their hand was definitely the way to go. I was definitely still getting used to the triple tactics talent. So yeah, I drew 2 here. Like, look at this. I could have ripped this Veiler out of my opponent's hand and not have to worry about this. So yeah, don't be like me here. Don't be greedy and draw 2 cards. Just if you're going first and you have the opportunity to talent, just rip a card out of your opponent's hand. You can either rip Irrelevant Disruption, or you can just stop them from being able to make plays. So I'm going to Maxx in order to play around any potential talents they might have. They've got a Call By, but I've got a Ghost Spell. So between them being under Maxx and me having an Imperm, even though I didn't really start with too much here, I'm not feeling too pressured. Opponent's going to activate a Sunny Snitch. So interestingly enough, in the past, I've suggested that when you're playing against Live Twins, it's better to Ash Blossom the Lil-la rather than the Sunny Snitch. However, I think now, because Live Twin Spright is a thing, it is actually better to Ash Blossom the Sunny Snitch. The reason is that, this will put a level 2 monster in their hand. Even if you negate the Live Twin, they can just special summon a Spright monster and then have, like, all their plays anyway. Like, it literally doesn't matter in that situation if you negate the Lil-la. So if you deny them the ability to add the level 2 monster to begin with, then they might not have the ability. Like, if my opponent only had like a Spright Blue in hand aside from this Lil-la, then you can't normal summon Blue and get the effect. You have to special it, and you need another level 2 monster to do that. So I will offer that tip for playing against Live Twin Spright. Again, in the past, it's been better to Ash Blossom the Live Twin itself. Now, you definitely want to hit the Sunny Snitch, in my opinion. Yeah, so, and actually, yeah, for this exact reason right here, you saw my opponent had the Spright monster alongside the Lil-la. Now here they're going to give you just 1 draw, summoning the red. That's a pretty smart move because now they have a monster negate, so they're not ending on absolutely nothing. And to be fair, if I kind of braked in my draws and only had the Gigantic Spright, now they could negate it and then I would be out of place. Of course, that's not the case already because I've got an Imperm to negate the red. But I also have like I have 2 more level 2 monsters here, so as with pretty much any Spright deck, if you've got 2 level 2 monsters, like, you're gonna have plays. So, yeah, there's that duel. We got off to a bit of a rocky start, but as you can see, we were still able to disrupt our opponent very efficiently. And again, I just want to point out that I did not use this triple tactics talent well. I should not have drawn 2. I really should have ripped a card out of my opponent's hand. It would have let me continue my plays there. So, in any case, let's go ahead and take a look at the next game. So for this game, we're going to be up against Fluanderies, and it's actually the meme build, the Numbers Veil into Heroic Champion Rangaminad build, which I call the meme build because I don't think it's good. I really don't. Alright, so here we have a pretty good hand. This would already have been a Scythe setup, but we actually already opened the Artifact Schythe, so I really don't need to go out of my way in order to make Artifact Dagda. I'll just start with my Live Twins, making the Gigantic Spright here. I'm going to detach and special summon the Spright Blue. Use that to add the Jet. Of course, special summon the Jet. Use Jet to add Starter. Now we get to summon Red, and then we even have Carrot as well. But I think I'll do the Starter in a little bit here. Use the Spright Elf to bring back a level 2 monster. Now I can link those away for the Ki-Sikil, and not just any level 2 monster. I did want to bring back exactly the Frost there. Yeah, now that I've got some room on board, now I can throw out the Spright Starter. I mean, I guess I had the room, to be fair. I just wanted to make sure that I did. That has happened to me, like, once or twice before in other variants, where, like, other variants of Spright, that is, where you fill up your board and then you realize you don't have an open link zone, but here it's not going to be an issue. Okay, so that might have looked weird, using Ki-Sikil and Lil-la just to make another Ki-Sikil, but you actually do want to be doing that, and the reason is because now I can use Ki-Sikil to bring back the Evil Twin Lil-la, and then I can use Lil-la to blow up the Artifact Schythe. So again, that looked really weird, but it is actually necessary to make sure that you have the Evil Twin Lil-la in the graveyard, as well as the Ki-Sikil on the board. And then this way we also got the, I believe we got the draw off the Ki-Sikil, didn't we? Yeah, we got the draw off the Ki-Sikil as well. So this is a relatively standard end board. Again, normally we would have used Dagda to get the Scythe, but here we just opened it, so. But of course, this game we open up Scythe, my opponent is on Fluandereeze, so having the Scythe is really not going to mean much of anything. But doesn't mean this play is totally useless here. I'm just going to use the Lil-la to not pop my face down Scythe, but actually their Fluandereeze and the Magnificent Map. I always forget what this card is called. This card is super important to hit if you're playing against Fluandereeze, by the way. This card is super duper important to hit. Even if you have like a Spright board like this, this will allow them to play through your disruption a bit more easily. Now here we have Red and Ash Blossom, so it probably would have been fine, but I decided just not to take any chances. They've actually got a second Magnificent Map here, so I'm going to use Spright Carrot. And the cool thing about using a Red and Carrot when you're playing Evil Twin Spright is that I can send this Ki-Sikil to negate and destroy the map, and then now I also get to use Lil-la to bring back Ki-Sikil, and I get another draw on top of that. So really, really cool function. Normally Red and Carrot, you're trying to sacrifice other level 2 monsters, normally your rank and Link 2s you need to keep on the board. But here, we can not only send a Link 2 in order to destroy on top of negating, but it's actually going to be beneficial to us. We get a draw on top of that. Alright, so again, activate Carrot, negate and destroy their Magnificent Map. Now I get to use Lil-la's effect, bring back Ki-Sikil, draw a card, and they're just going to concede, because even if they had the Fluandereeze monster, I can just use Red to negate and destroy it by sacking the Lil-la, and then if they have like a set card, like a back row, I get to start my turn on my next turn by using the Evil Twin to bring back the Ki-Sikil and just blowing up another card in their field. So in that regard, it can make the disruption that Live Twin offers, the sprites can make it even more consistent with their negates in that regard, which is really gross when you think about it. The fact that the way we're activating our Live Twins and proccing them more often is by sacking them to negate and destroy cards. It's pretty gross, and one of the reasons why this is a fairly good variant of Spright. But we still have a couple more games to take a look at. Let's dive straight into the next one. So this game, wow, my opponent was cooking this game. They're on pure sprites, but they've got a lot of interesting tech. One that's actually pretty cool is Hero Kid, which if I recall correctly, we'll actually get to see play out in this game. They're on Dimensional Fissures, which I'm a little more suspicious about, but in any case here. Opponent's going to go first. I should have Maxx'd during the draw phase, but I just wasn't paying attention. I'm just going to use it in response to Starter. They had the Ash Blossom anyway, so even if I had Maxx'd during the draw phase, it wouldn't have mattered. But I like playing around Triple Tactics Talent in regard. Actually, I want to say this because I've forgotten to mention this the last couple of videos, and people have pointed this out in the comments, and this is actually a very good point. It's not the worst idea. This is more if you've already set up a turn 1 board, and then you activate a Maxx going into your opponent's turn 1, which is actually turn 2. If you wait during the main phase, something that you can do is you can activate Maxx, and then if they go to call by it, you can use your Spright Elf to summon the Maxx out of the graveyard, and then it won't be in the graveyard to banish and negate, so the Maxx will resolve. That is actually a reason to Maxx during the main phase and not the draw phase. You could make the argument, and one commenter actually did make a pretty good point, that there are more call-bys than Triple Tactics Talent in the format. But in situations like this, when it's turn 1, right on a Spright Elf, then I'm more willing to throw out the Maxx during the draw phase. I know I've done it when I have the Spright Elf in play, during turn 2 before, and generally speaking, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, actually. You really could make arguments either way. I guess it really depends what you're more willing to play around. Honestly, though, I think, I don't know, because Triple Tactics Talent can be such a huge blowout. I think I might almost, well, but Maxx is a huge blowout, too. You could really argue either way, honestly. So this is one of the cards my opponent's cooking with. Ready Fusion lets him summon Alvain, the Essence of Vanity, which we've actually played in Runic before Spright came out. I played this in my Synchro Runic deck, and I got it out with Instant Fusion, but yeah, opponent's definitely doing some cooking here. With that Instant Fusion, or that Ready Fusion, sorry. And here's the other bit they're cooking with Hero Kid. So this is why you'd want to tech Hero Kid, is if you summon it off of Gigantic Spright. When this card is special summoned period, you get to summon 2 more copies of it. So yeah, it's something you can get off of Gigantic Spright and then throw down a bunch more copies, which is, it's a novel idea, but the thing is, like, Swap Frog is going to get you just about the same number of summons anyway, so... And it's also a lot less bricky, too. Like, opening Hero Kid is just, it's such a feels-bad moment. Like, if you open even a single copy, because, like, you can really only special this from deck, right? As far as I can tell, there's not really a way to special it from hand. So if you open even a single copy, then when you go to special one from deck later, you're only going to get 2 of it. So it's just like, it's such immediate diminishing returns that it's cute. I will say it's a cute option, but I don't necessarily think it's like the best one. Yeah, here I'll throw out the Ghost Spell for the Spright Elf. It's going to deny them a little bit of extension. Ghost Spell, I'm kind of on the... Well, this is more for a pure Spright build I'm working on than Evil Twin Spright. I'm kind of on the fence of whether or not I'm going to include that card in moving forward. Just because, like, again, I'm thinking about Triple Tactics Talent. And at this point, maybe I am thinking a little bit too hard about Triple Tactics Talent, but... Ghost Spell is a monster effect that's activating on my opponent's turn during their main phase, so, you know, just gotta be mindful of that. It's why Imperm is so much better than Valor right now, because it's not a monster effect. Alright, so yeah, they're gonna go for Knightmare Unicorn here, and they're doing this. This is actually a really good move, and if you're playing Sprites, or any deck that IPs into a Knightmare Unicorn, you really want to be doing it when your opponent's got a level 2 monster on the board, but before they can start summoning their Spright monsters, because, you know, if I don't have any Spright monsters I can summon, or if I don't have a level 2 monster on the field, then I can't special summon the Spright monsters from my hand. It's just that simple. So, good Knightmare Unicorn on my opponent here, putting back the Ki-Sikil, but the card of the hour here is going to make an appearance, the Triple Tactics Talent. This is going to let me take my opponent's Spright Elf and turn what normally would have been a dead just hand into a very live one. Now I get to bring back that Maxx. That'll let me special summon the Jet in my hand. Now I can summon, you know, I was going to say I can summon Blue off a starter, Blue into Red, Carrot, whatever, whichever one is better here. I think I already know their last card is not a disruption though, so it just doesn't really matter what I get. And then at this point, yeah, I can find lethal here. It shouldn't be too much of a problem. Yeah, Triple Tactics Talent stealing an opponent's Spright Elf for lethal is a play I've done a lot over the last couple of days, and one of many reasons why I think it's a great card right now. So, alright, let's go and take a look at the next duel here. Alright, for this one, we're going to be up against tri-brigade Spright. Let's see what we've got here. Looks like we're going to be going first this time. Alright, we got another hand where we opened Artifact Schythe, so no need to go into Dagda for this one. I tried to get a good game where I used Iblee, like I went for the Iblee line, but it just wasn't happening. So yeah, like I said during the deck profile, you know, you definitely don't need both Iblee and a Scythe. I mainly put both in the deck to try to show both off, but again, I played for quite a while with this deck, and I just could not get a good game where I stuck I don't know if I had any game where I summoned Iblee now that I think about it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a win more option. You might argue that it is, but I mean, it's one main deck slot, which this deck has a lot available, so it didn't really feel too strenuous to try to put it in. And it's like, you might as well play it. And again, if you really value the extra deck slot and don't want to play the beat cop, you can play Iblee without beat cop. Like, even if they run their Iblee into your monster, and then can make plays on main phase 2, you know, you've already survived the main, like, their turn, so you're gonna get a turn. So in that regard, like, Iblee has already done most of its job at that point. So the opponent threw out a Ghost Ogre against my Gigantic Spright. I've actually been thinking about teching Ghost Ogre in some decks myself. I'm really on the fence about this card though. It's like this card and Cyframe Gear Gamma are like both really close to making it in a lot of my decks as tech. Ghost Ogre is pretty good against Gigantic Spright, as you just saw my opponent use it against me here. It's pretty good, because then, you know, we obviously can't make plays with the Gigantic Spright, or if it's turn 2 or later, then they lack the 3200 body to retaliate with. Gamma I like a lot because it's really, really good against all these normal summon level 2 monsters that have an effect that activates when they summon, because you can negate the effect, destroy the monster. Not only is their extension gone, like if it was Diva, Beaver, Dark Beckoning Beast, a live twin monster, whatever it happens to be, they don't get that extension and the level 2 monster is gone. And as I mentioned before, getting the level 2 monster off the board is very crucial against Spright. But okay, I accidentally talked over a play I wanted to go over for a second here. So you notice I actually went for Lil-la first and then Ki-Sikil, instead of doing it the other way and getting the draw off the Ki-Sikil. That's because I had the Artifact Schythe in my hand, and I figured, you know what, I really don't want to use like too many more resources here, so And the draw isn't really going to do like a whole lot for me here. I mean, it might find something, but I'm pretty much past the point of making more plays anyway, because even if I got a Spright monster, like, 1, I can't summon it because I don't have level 2, and 2, even if I did, I can't summon it because you can only special summon Fiends from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, so I can't like make Spright Elf or anything like that here. So I figured I'd just go into the Lil-la and then hit the Ki-Sikil, set the Scythe and pass, then I can, you know, use Ki-Sikil, bring back Lil-la on the Scythe, but my opponent's first card was actually Cosmic Cyclone, so even if I had chained Ki-Sikil here, I still couldn't have popped the Lil-la, or I couldn't have popped the Scythe with Lil-la in time. The Cosmic Cyclone would have banished it first, so I'm not going to summon Lil-la just yet. I'm actually going to wait until my opponent... I was going to wait until my opponent made a play, like summoned a monster, and then I could have popped it with the Lil-la just to disrupt them. But I guess even the threat of the Lil-la was enough, and my opponent was not able to come back because they just conceded, so... I actually think I have an extra... Yeah, I have an extra game for us, so... Let's just go ahead and go straight into this last duel here. And for this last game, I am up against Pure Spright once again. My opponent here is actually playing Cyberstein, which, I mean, in theory, I get it. But in practice, I don't. Because it's not like you can't Gigantic Spright for Stein and then summon Extrio, because then you can't summon... You can only summon level rank or League 2s, so... I guess you're just opening it, like you're just hard summoning it. And then specialing, and then activating the Stein, and then specialing a Spright, and then making plays. So, I don't know. I'm not into the idea of a 1 of level 2 that eats an extra deck slot and is only good when you open it. Unless I'm missing something, I could be missing a play with it. But I can't, you can't search it with Gigantic Spright and still use the effect for Extrio. So, whatever. Alright, so here I'm just going to start by, what do we got here? What did they Ash Blossom? That was the main thing. Oh, they tried to Ash Blossom, but... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I Ash Blossom. Jesus, I should have been paying attention at the start of that. So, yeah, they started off with the Cyframe Gear Gamma here, and I chose to Ash Blossom it. Now, normally you don't want to do this because the Ash Blossom is going to... Yes, it'll negate the Cyframe Gear Gamma, but the thing is, they'll just get to use the Gamma again later in the turn. Normally, that would make it not worth it. However, in this situation, it is extremely worth it because, as I was just talking about earlier, my opponent was using the Gamma to threaten my Live Twin Lil-la. Had the Gamma resolved, it would have both negated and destroyed the Lil-la, and then I wouldn't have been able to get my plays because I wouldn't have been able to summon any of my Spright monsters. Alright, so I've got the starters off the Jet. They can Ash Blossom it, that's fine. I don't really care. Now, they do still have the Gamma in their hand, and I am still going to have to deal with that. So I'm like, you know what, I'll just throw out the Gigantic Spright, let it get negated and destroyed. It's not ideal, but it's good enough, and then I can just use these two to go into, like, Live Twin plays. And the nice thing, too, is because the Spright got negated, I'm not restricted to level linked or rank 2s here, so I can actually go for the Trouble Sunny and everything. Also, I don't want to throw out the Maxx in response to the Gamma, because, like, yeah, I could get, like, a draw, but it's not going to do anything for me. It's only one draw. I'd rather have the Maxx for my opponent's turn, where I can be more efficient with it. I can just shut them down completely, or get a bunch of draws. Either way works for me. So, yep, here's the Trouble Sunny, because once again, like I said, the Gigantic Spright was negated. I'm not locked into level rank or link 2s. So this is definitely an ideal situation. I'm not only able to throw out the Maxx on the draw phase, my opponent doesn't have a response, but I've also got this Trouble Sunny live. For those who don't remember, at any time I can tribute this Trouble Sunny, and that will enable me to bring back both Ki-Sikil and Lil-la. Then I can get a draw and a destroy. So I've got the Maxx online, I've got the Disruption. My opponent does still have 4 cards in their hand, which is a good bit, you know, to be fair, but... I think I'm still pretty confident that there's not going to be a whole lot they can, like, super threaten me with here. And indeed, they're just going to end up passing, like, without doing anything at all. Now, granted, maybe they just didn't have, like, that great of a hand. That is definitely a possibility, but... yeah, at this point, they're just going to concede. Like, I just need... because the Trouble Sunny represents 5,500 attack points by itself. 8 attacks for 3,300, and then it tags into Ki-Sikil and Lil-la, which each attack for 1,100, so... at that point, I just need to find, what is that, 2,500 more points of damage, and yeah, between a level 2 monster and a Spright Blue, that is not going to be an issue at all. So, Alright, there are those duels with Live Twin Spright. Again, I really wish I could have gotten games where I showed like really clean turn 1 combos, but they just didn't come up. So I'll throw some material in the description to make sure you know what like a typical turn 1 combo looks like. But that's going to be all for this video. Let's go ahead and move now to our outro. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. That means a whole lot to me. Not just personally, but it's also a great way of supporting the channel as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other means, you can of course feel free to comment and or subscribe right here on YouTube. I'm always looking to the comments section. You guys leave some pretty awesome feedback as far as like constructive criticism goes when it comes to deck building, gameplay, channel content, all that stuff. So feel free to leave your opinion down there. I will be sure to take a look at that there. And then subscribing is going to be the best way to get notifications of when these videos drop. That does happen every day, by the way, so if you're looking for daily Master Duel content, you've come to the right place. And there are more places where you can get some daily Master Duel content. If you check out the description below, follow the top link over to my Patreon page. There for just $5 a month, which is as much as you pay for a booster pack. You'll find a lot more value than a pack full of filler over there. We've got some previews for content upcoming here on the channel. We've got some exclusive games that are only posted over on Patreon over there. We've got some Q&As, and then you can also have your name featured in this lovely credit sequence where I thank all of the people who are helping contribute over there on Patreon. It's a huge support to the channel, and it really means a lot as well. So thank you everyone who is donating that is featured here on screen. And again, you know, it's not just a pure donation, you do get some more daily Master Duel content over there just for being a part of the Patreon. But I think that's about all the time that I have for today's video. Once again, I just want to thank you so very much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. Again, it just means a lot as I do put a decent amount of work into getting these videos out every single day. But that's about all the time that I've got for now. So without further ado, this is XLex. I'm signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.